Hello, I'm Jack Butel.
And I'm Dave Nicola.
And we're Venture Farming. Put simply, venture farming is an incubator for beginning organic farmers. But before we dive into the nitty-gritty, we thought it would be helpful to provide you with a high-level summary of where we'll be going over the next 15 minutes. And, so you know, you can follow along in the PowerPoint deck that we provided you. I'll start off by describing to you the problem that we're solving. What are the challenges that beginning organic farmers face? Next, I'll describe to you the services that venture farming provides to those farmers. Third, I'll describe to you the market that we're serving. Who is the target customer and how big is the market opportunity? I'll then hand it over to Dave, who will walk us through the financial model and the assumptions that underpin it. Now, venture farming is a social enterprise, so we're also interested in measuring social and environmental impact. So Dave will talk to us about the metrics we use to do that. We'll also describe to you the management team, why we think we're credible based on our experience, backgrounds, and interest. And finally, we'll talk to you about the milestones that we've laid out for ourselves over the next several months as we seek to launch venture farming.
Our current agricultural system has resulted in limited opportunities for aspiring startup farmers. For every 6 farmers over the age of 65, there is just 1 under the age of 35. Beginning farmers are unable to fill this gap because a system of challenges inhibits their success, including the high cost of land, lack of working capital, lack of business planning skills, low access to markets, volatile cash flows, and limited experience. It's not just the dearth of opportunities for beginning farmers, but our agricultural system has resulted in 3 major adverse side effects: food security risk, environmental degradation, and health and economic issues. Genetic modification and consolidation presents risk to the food system. Farmland loss and soil loss has produced environmental degradation. Obesity is a major health epidemic in this country, and rural economic competitiveness has been significantly reduced over the last few decades. We believe that there is an alternative to the current system. In fact, we envision a food system that is diversified, decentralized, and variable, obeys natural ecological principles, relies on mutual trust and understanding, and appropriately values food and agricultural land. And now I will turn it over to Jack, who will explain the solution in greater detail.
So what does this solution look like? Think of it like venture capital for beginning farmers, wherein we provide the farmer with a rich experience, a set of physical resources, and a package of beneficial services that they would not otherwise enjoy. And we do it at a lower cost to the farmer. After 2 or 3 or 4 years on the property, that farmer graduates the program with the experience, credibility, and confidence that he or she needs to strike out on their own and succeed as a career organic farmer. We think about the services that we provide to these farmers in 3 different categories. Production services, which includes access to land, shared equipment, high tunnels, which are the greenhouse-like type structures you see on the slide, and inputs. Second, aggregation services, which includes marketing, delivery, and billing services for farm produce. And third, support services, which includes things like management of organic certification and transition services when the farmer is ready to move beyond the venture farm. In exchange for these services, we charge a nominal base rent of $50 per acre and $50 per high tunnel per year, plus 20% of gross sales. The value proposition to the farmer is significant. Higher production, lower operating risk, lower financial risk, lower expenses, and higher upside. It's especially compelling when you consider the alternatives available in the marketplace. There are several entities that provide 1 or 2 of the services that venture farming provides, but there are very, very few incubators that provide all the services that we seek to provide, and most of them are nonprofit. Venture farming is a for-profit incubator that is vertically integrated and provides a simplified and relevant package of services to the farmer. Now, How big is the target customer market that we're seeking to address? We've calculated the addressable market to be approximately 31,000 beginning farmers. This includes graduates of many of the nation's agricultural universities, like North Carolina State University and North Carolina Agricultural and Technical University, who are our neighbors just down the street. Assuming that we're able to capture a portion of this market, how large is the market into which they are selling? Fortunately, the size of the U.S. organic market is huge, at $31 billion per year. That represents only 4% of total U.S. food and beverage sales, and it's growing at approximately 10% per year. So there's lots of room to grow. Now I'll hand it over to Dave, who will walk us through the financial model.
This slide depicts the basic assumptions which underlie our 10-year financial model. Please note that you can see detailed financials in the exhibit of the PowerPoint that has been provided and in the business plan that has been provided. So what's the scale? 15 venture farms over 10 years, 40 acres per venture farm, 14 farmers per property, 1 high tunnel per farmer, plus an additional 1.5 acres per farmer, $10,000 per acre of revenue, and $10,000 per high tunnel of revenue. All these assumptions are based on high intensity produce production on a venture farm, and the $10,000 per acre is at the low end of the estimates from our research and investigations with current farmers. So the next slide depicts the actual quantified financial returns. An estimated IRR of 35.8% over 10 years, a cash-on-cash return of 2.1x, an ROA in year 6, a return on assets, of 10.6%. Please note this includes both the cost of the operations as well as the cost of the land. We feel an ROA is appropriate because it is analogous to what a real estate investment opportunity would use for investment analysis. In addition to a financial return, venture farming seeks to have a positive social and environmental impact. And not as a side effect of the business, but as a core part of our DNA. And the theory of change is how we effectively think about having this social and environmental impact. The theory of change for venture farming is as follows. If beginning farmers face fewer difficulties in the startup phase of their careers, then they are more likely to persist as profitable farmers. And this theory of change helps drive the impact value chain, which quantifies and solidifies our social and environmental impact. And it starts with inputs. What does a venture farm need to have at its basic level? Access to land, shared equipment, and a collaborative environment. And then moves to activities. What do we, venture farming, provide to make those inputs worthwhile? Mentorship, business planning skills, marketing, and sales support. It then produces an output. So the output of venture farming is a new generation of well-trained and ambitious young farmers and food entrepreneurs. That in turn leads to outcomes, and the outcomes are our social and environmental impacts above and beyond what would naturally occur in the world as we know it. And that includes increased farmer employment opportunities, increased farmer profitability, reduction of risk for farmers, more healthful food, and increased environmental resilience. We can also quantify our social and environmental returns, and we have done so in an SROI, or social return on investment, which venture farming calculates to be 29.5% based on the 10-year financial projections. Again, you can see this in greater detail in both the business plan and the appendix of the PowerPoint. As we round out our presentation, does it make sense that we, Jack and David, are talking to you about venture farming and pitching this idea to you? In fact, we do think it makes sense, based on our experience, our backgrounds, and our interests. I graduated from Cornell University's College of Agricultural and Life Sciences with a degree in natural resources. I then worked on Wall Street for 7 years as an investment banking analyst and portfolio manager at a hedge fund. During that time, I volunteered extensively with the Nature Conservancy and spent time with Grasslands LLC, a holistic cattle ranch operator operating in the Midwest. Lastly, I'm a second-year MBA at Duke's Fuqua School of Business.
As for me, I spent 7 years with Hines, the $24 billion AUM real estate investment company, in marketing, finance, and sustainability roles. My last 3 years at the firm, I ran the company's global sustainability programs, which included things like LEED certification and ENERGY STAR labeling. When I left my job, I went to work on a holistically managed cattle ranch in Colorado, 90,000 acres. I spent 4 months there, which is something I had done twice in the past on my family's ranch in Montana. More recently, I completed some consulting work for International Farming Corporation, a farmland private equity outfit here in North Carolina. And lastly, I'm in my second of 3 years pursuing a joint degree at Duke's Fuqua School of Business and Nicholas School of the Environment. Perhaps just as important as our backgrounds and experience is the fact that Dave and I have been working together for the last 18 months, and we have an excellent working relationship. So where do we go from here? Well, as you can see on this slide, there are several milestones that we've laid out for ourselves to accomplish over the next year. But we really have two immediate priorities. The first is to identify a piece of land on which we can build and construct our first venture farm. And second is to recruit our first class of venture farmers to populate that farm. We've got a lot of work ahead of us, but we're excited and we're optimistic. Now, in summary, venture farming is a for-profit incubator for beginning organic farmers. We've seen that beginning farmers are struggling, and venture farming is an alternative. We provide a unique turnkey solution. We've also seen that there's a large and growing market for this type of opportunity. Dave has described to us the financial model, which we believe is viable and comes along with social and environmental impact. And finally, we feel like we're capable of carrying out this task. Thank you so much for your time, and good day.